Hey guys, I wanted to jump on real quick, make this a short one, and just go over what we're looking at currently with Bitcoin price action, DXY, things like that, because I know a lot of people are probably nervous with what the price action is going to look like, especially next week when CPI data, I think that comes out on the 11th, and then also, of course, the ETF decision. Whenever there is a big catalyst like this, everybody tends to have an opinion one way or the other which way it's going to go. And people are very nervous about price action, especially if they're, sitting in altcoins. I mean, I'm still sitting in mine. So, even though I'm not too worried about it, I have a reason for that because it could still turn around on us and go down. But the thing we have to remember is this always happens before a halving. I mean, it's happened every single time, but then after the halving, things just take off. So I wouldn't worry so much about the short-term price action. It's the long-term price action that we need to look to get out at the very top whenever the market is over with, whether it's the end of this year or the end of 2025. Which there's different opinions on that as well, and we'll just play the market what it gives us as things progress. I did make a couple of posts here over the last couple of days. First one, just talking about taking time to zoom out. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about now. Some alts are up, some are down. If they decide to delay the ETF, which they've done before, although BlackRock has like a 99% win rate on this, so there's a good chance it will pass or it will go through. So in the next 5 days or so, we'll know more. And then I posted this one today. Currently, Bitcoin is bullish, which is good for everything. That could change within days. Sometimes it does. But currently, we just take the information that we have. That's the best we can do. There hasn't been a rate cut, number one, and there's likely not going to be one until March. And I'll show some more information about that here in a second. Bitcoin RSI on the weekly is above 70, which is bullish. Actually, it's really bullish. So as long as the weekly RSI is above 50, we're going to stay bullish. And then the DXY RSI is below 50, and that's bearish. And regarding the rate cut historically, the federal funds rate cut after a pause is when markets pull back. And I'll show that here in a second historically, which Bitcoin's already, it's only been through one of these. So that's really all we can go by, as far as how it's going to react. So I continue to hold the belief that as long as Bitcoin is above 50 RSI until the rate cut, then we're good. However, if DXY starts pumping again, then it could mean a temporary dip in the markets. But for now, DXY is bearish. Okay. So here's what I'm talking about historically. This right here was the pause from, let's see, that's February 2019. Guess that's to about July 2019. And then this first rate cut right here, right around August, I'm going to show that on the chart. That's where you're going to see that the price started coming down significantly for Bitcoin. And that was prior to the halving. And then it also led to, the COVID Black Swan event, which I don't, I'm definitely not saying that we're going to have an event like that again. But just understand that as rates were going up, and that affected price to the downside as well. But then it paused. There were moments even during this that price might have gone up temporarily, but then it came right back down, and it was the bear market, and then it paused, and that was a good time to be in the market. And then once it rolled back over, you had to get back out, or you just hold your positions. And then once that rate cut went all the way back down to more normalized levels like it did back here, which is something under 1%, then that's when the market really started moving again. And so now we're back in that same position where we've had this big move up during the bear market on the rates. They've hiked all the way from whatever that is, March 2022, all the way to, well, I guess the market's really started going up about here. What was it, December, January, something like that, right at the start of 2023. And then now we're getting this pause. And so once this pause is over, You can see that it plateaued right here. It plateaued here. Did it the same way every time. And so once we get that first rate cut, that's when we would expect some kind of pullback from the markets. And I understand, like Nasdaq and S&P 500, they're all sitting at all-time high levels, and of course they've got to get through those. They can't just sit there and keep rejecting at those levels. For Bitcoin to go up, we have to have those break their all-time high. If they want to break above it and retest it, that's fine, but they need to keep going up if we're going to get another move out of Bitcoin prior to this halving. And Morgan Stanley said here, don't count on a March rate cut. Inflation stickier than expected, delaying the start of the long-awaited interest rate cuts. And that's fine. I mean, if it pauses for longer, then that means we stay up for longer. So, that's why my mind is where it's at, where I don't really expect any significant move down for Bitcoin until this first rate cut happens. And altcoins, they just, they follow their own path, right? I mean, you got things like, what were we talking about? I'll just show you one here. Let me bring it up over here on this other screen first. Okay, here it is. So this one is that MetroZenth one I've been talking about a lot in my tweets. And I think this was actually a pick from the Braver group, but it was Excalibur that picked it. But I think it started pumping, what was it, right in here around '07, something like that. And now it's having a real big move. But I mean, this right here to me, I think it's probably going to reject at some point. I don't know how much further it can go up. I was thinking it might do like a 4x or something from this level, and it's already done a 2x. But this is starting to look like, even though it's bullish, look like it's going to turn into a bearish reversal, maybe a retest, which would be great. I mean, if you haven't gotten into this one, if it came up here and came back down and retested this perfectly around the 10 cents area, it'd be a good time to get into it. But you got ones like this that I talked about, and then you got ones like this where I thought it was going to keep going up. And this is Ash Swap, and it did just the opposite. I mean, they've all got their own little paths that they're taking, and I'm pretty sure it's going to turn back up. But it just kind of surprised me. I thought, that we did have a nice little ascending triangle where it was, it kept having buy side pressure, and I wasn't really watching it, or I would have called this, but it was clear that it broke below and then retested this, and I mean that was obvious in hindsight what it was going to do, that it was going to come down once it did that. But anyway, can't win all of them. Let's see. What do we want to talk about? Oh, okay. So ETH ETH compared to Bitcoin here. This is a real important one. We need this one to stay above this level here. And really, I would just like to see it hold the level it's at currently, because this would just end up being a spring. And then maybe this is some kind of creek, and we just got to get over the creek or something. But the RSI has been sitting down here just waiting. So it's obvious that there's a lot of manipulation going on right now. And maybe there's going to be a lot of volatility once the ETF does get approved, or whatever official information shows up. We'll see some big moves up or down. We just don't know which way it's going to go yet. So we definitely want to see this one get bullish again. And then we need to see, these need to get bullish again as well, which, it's sitting right at support right now, so it's not a problem. Although sometimes when these wicks are made, they do come down to fill in the wick. So that's, what is that? Total 2, here's total 3. Yeah, same thing. They almost look identical. And then here is Bitcoin dominance. I was kind of expecting that it might just start working its way down here, but it hasn't done it just yet. I don't know. Maybe it still needs to come up here and hit this one more time. It's kind of hard to say what it's going to do. I mean, it's had a big move up here. Yeah, I mean, it could come up here one more time. We'll just have to see. It's not real clear just yet what it's going to do. Although this does look like a bear flag, the way this one is trending. And on the flip side, you could say, well, yeah, at one time this did look like get what it was, maybe the 4 hour chart. One of these charts looked like it was an inverted head and shoulders. I guess it was this one kind of. Maybe it still comes down to here first and then it could go higher. But we have to see this turn around. We have to see DXY turn around. They've been moving up just a bit. And I've got some levels here on DXY that I went ahead and put on here. As long as it stays under this 103 level, then it'll keep going down. We don't want to see it do this, though. We don't want to see it recover, what, like 104 or something like that. Even before that, we really don't want to see it recover like 103.50 with a 4 hour candle above that, because that could mean that it recovered a key area that it lost at one point, and it would be recovering support. But currently, I mean, you can see it's under the 50 RSI, no big deal. It's showing that it's still bearish. All right, so this is what I wanted to show real quick. I know that some of you follow that guy Steve with what is it, Crypto University, whatever. And I did watch one of his videos today just to see what he was saying, because a lot of people were commenting on it. But one thing I would say he's a little bit flawed on is he's calling these lower highs before they even happen. Um, I mean, you can see over here, while price was still coming up, there was a pause here where it looked like, it could roll back over, but you were clearly over the 70 RSI, and, you came down to here and it looked like it might come down further, but it came up and made one more lower high here. Now, this is a true lower high, but you wouldn't have known this until this RSI actually got back under 70. And I really believe that's the way it is now. You can't really call any of this a lower high until it gets under 70, because there's no confirmation, right? Because this is a different level of momentum than right here. So like if you have price down here where it's bearish, you break over 50 RSI, that's one level of momentum where it's kind of gotten started. But then once you get over the 70 level, that's a whole new story. I mean, it just gets so much more momentum that it's crazy. Like you get some super big pumps out of it like this. And on the flip side, same thing happens, right? If you like back over here, when you broke below the 70, you got some really big candles coming down. And then when you broke below the 50, it did one more right there. So this was the 70 candle. That's the 50. And then it came back up temporarily and then did it one more time. And, it really fell off the cliff at that point. So this is more about momentum than anything. And then on the, right here on the money flow for the weekly, it looks good. It's still green. So if we just start working our way down to like the 3 day, we have gotten, it's not really a bearish divergence just yet, because this was a higher, here's a high right here, and here's a higher high from that point. Now, if you don't get back above the 70 here, if it rejects one more time here, then I think that would signal that, yeah, that's the lower high and that's a divergence. I mean, there's kind of one right here for market cipher from here to here, but money flow is still fairly thick. So, and VWAP's kind of turning up, although it might just be going sideways for the most part. 2 day money flow's thick, looks fine. You did get a rejection here on the 70. So, you need to hold this line right here at 61. If it gets below the 61 line, then yeah, it's probably come down here to test the 50. And that would coincide with another sweep of the lows right here. And then on daily, money flow seems to be tapering down, but we need more information first, because the momentum here is kind of creating a triangle in a way. Yeah, so as long as you hold the 50 line here on the daily, you're fine. But if it breaks below that, then that's a signal that probably going to need some additional downside. And it would coincide with something about the ETF news, I'm sure. Although I don't believe that news moves prices. It's, price moves first and then the news goes along with it. And there is one other thing I wanted to show here. So here's some patterns that I found that looked very similar to this, and why I think there's still a move to come. a move up. This is May 27th, 2019. And this is, yeah, that's the 4 hour chart. And you can see it's somewhat similar as far as the shape. It's not going to be exact. So I could definitely see a situation where it would come back down here and, sweep just like this, which would be down in these levels somewhere. So that wouldn't surprise me if I saw that, but we need to hold, well, at minimum, we need to hold like 38.5 or so, back where this first imbalance started. But you can see as far as money flow, I think that was on the daily that it was peaking. Yeah, okay. So daily money flow was peaking right here. And I think on this one as well, when I had it on the daily chart, it was peaking. But of course, on the 4 hour, it's going to show something different. But you are going to go to the red for, just temporarily if this was to play out again. And so if this was to continue to taper down and, just briefly dip below and created some red, that's fine. You can see we definitely lost the 50 RSI for a little bit here on the 4 hour, but it quickly got back above. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, I mean, it's under it right now currently, but it got back green. It's back over the 50. So it's really hard to tell right now what's going to happen. And here's that you kind of seeing a triangle, symmetrical triangle here currently on the 4 hour. Wonder if it did it here. I'm sure it did it somewhere, but I don't see it here currently on this one. So there is one more area here that I saw some similarities. And this one actually had a bit of a dip first. And that's why, I want to stay balanced with this and just show how you could have, we could go up, could go down. And I know people don't like to hear that, but, we have to consider both angles just in case the ETF didn't get approved or whatever. So here's what it would look like on the Bitcoin chart if it didn't work out and we had one more dip and, maybe it would last for 2 or 3 months or whatever before things went back up. Again, it looks exactly the same almost as far as the overall pattern. Let's see. Yeah, it looks really similar. See, like this big move here at the end, this big move here at the end, but it's looking different here currently as far as what this one did. It actually started breaking down early. It doesn't mean this one still can't break down, but here's the level we would watch. If we got under here and it rejected here, then we would know. But if it just gets down to here and starts going back up or just goes sideways or something, sideways, then there's a good chance, if it holds this level for a while, that it's going right back up. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I'm not really worried about things. I'm just gonna hold what I got on my spot plays if, even if it dips. Because I guess my stance on it is I don't want to miss another pump. If there's some alts that are going to do maybe a 5x or something from here because Bitcoin pumps one more time, I don't want to miss that. And if for some reason things do go back down and the altcoins bleed, all I'm really risking is that it's just going to take longer for it to happen. So, some people would not want to take the risk at all, and that's fine. But, that's just the way I'm playing it. I'm okay with taking the risk. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And you got something out of it. Just trying to calm nerves if anybody is worried about price action. And I'll get back to next week showing some different projects that I'm looking at, like Cubic and a couple other ones. All right, we'll talk then. Thanks.